Hi everyone, and today I'm going to talk about Appium plus Kotlin plus actually a Lura report. So no further ado, let's begin. So first things first, something about me. So I'm passionate about automation, and I had a really nice opportunity at Vinted to design a mobile app. You saw the GIF in previous slide. At first it was a small one. Now we have like 60 devices, I think. So yeah, it was, and it still is a real nice experience. And in the photo, you can see one of my newest hobby. Actually, 2 weeks in, I had an injury, but it was totally worth it. And I kind of started to doing it again. So that's nice. And now let's go. Let's get down to business. So agenda. First of all, I will talk about Appium just a little bit, and the whole presentation actually will be live demo. I choose the app movie guide. It's a native app, and after that I will show you that for iOS is no different than Android, how to find elements and also how to write tests. And lastly, some recommendations and tips. So Appium is an open source automation framework that allows you to test native app, mobile web, hybrids, and so on. It uses WebDriver protocol, and actually that's about that. And let's go to demo. So yeah, first things first, what do you need in order to work with Appium? So basically, well, I'm using Mac, so you need Brew, you need Node, of course you need Appium itself. You need an Appium desktop as well for finding elements, Android SDK tools. If you want some fancy reports, then I suggest Allura. Well, we use that. And also a real device or simulator for iOS. And there is a whole huge separate page for iOS setup. So if you choose to write a test for real device for Android, so just a couple of things to mention. You need to enable developer options, disable all animations, and turn on US debugging. And that's it. For emulators, you don't need to do anything at all. Those two commands will be used shortly. And for Appium desktop, there are some kind of capabilities just to say what you want to do. So for what platform you say you want to launch the app. So you need an app path, also say platform name, platform version, and what kind of automation tools you will use. And also this one for Android is kind of important, especially if you're using same app for users and same for testing. Without this, it will change app signature to developer one, and it can lead to some misconfigurations and so on. And also, if you want to read more, I shared some links. So let's start with Appium itself. So what you need, I have already started. So firstly, you need to start Appium itself. After that, you need to open Appium desktop. If the Appium server is already running, so you can click on Appium new session window, and it will open this kind of stuff. Then you decide what capabilities you want to use, Android or iOS, and just start the session. It will take some time. Yeah. Now we can see that we have in both sides. So we will automate, live demo will be showing this movie window, let's say screen. Just let me refresh. And we need, for our automation, we need to take the IDs if there are any, or just to find elements. So basically, yeah, what we want movie name. We also can record a test, so it will be kind of, let's say, easier to get all the IDs or something like that, but sometimes it takes like XPath or something else. After that, we want to have a favorite, because we are going to write a test for favoriting a movie. And after that, we need that button. Okay. So we have our all three elements. So let's move to our framework project. I also write a small framework just to have a driver in place, recordings and reports, and also prepared some robots. We are using robot pattern, or for web automation it calls page object pattern. It's kind of the same. Basically, what it means, one screen for one class. So yeah, we are going to create, let's call it movie screen. We have a base robot. I will show you what's inside, but nothing special actually. Okay, and now what we need to do, so let's just hide that. We need to write down all the elements. They should be private. In order to avoid using them directly in our test, we have a methods for that. So, okay. So basically, what they get from base robot is driver, and it's a kind of custom one. If a platform set to Android, so it's Android. It's for iOS, so it's iOS. Yeah. Okay. So now one for favorite button, let's say. We are using getters because we don't need to initialize elements as the class is initiated. We will use them on the go. Otherwise, you will get a lot of errors. And the last one, navigation up. So it's that. You can see that everything just repeats itself. Basically. And now we need just a couple of methods or functions. Let's say get move name. And also, if you want that this method appeared in our report, so we can add step annotation. Another one for favorite. And the last one for back button. And actually, we can use chaining. So we will see later why. Yeah, and that's that. So yeah, a little bit about the framework. It's here. So we have a robot factory. The class that is actually the main responsibility for that is to create every single screen, and it focuses how to create them. So right now it's simple and easy, but if in the future you want to change something, so it will be easier to do that. Yep, and that's that. Also, I prefer some other screens like movie list. It has some elements, everything is the same. And filter model because we will be working with favorite movies. So let's go to first test. Click on favorite. Okay. Okay, and an assertion. So let's write also an assertion. You can also have assertion in the test if you want, but for report purposes, if you want to see that your test has, let's say it has a couple of assertions and you want to see them all, so you can have it here. And it actually can take some parameters that you pass. So basically this title, whatever you pass here, will represent here. Let's do the assert. And if you want some meaningful message, okay, so let's go to our test. Okay, I already have one. We'll write another one, but so where it all begins. Cannot remember if, yeah, still open. So where it all begins. So then the app is opens. It shows the list. So we will quickly go through the test, what we are going to do. We're going to click on the first item, then click favorite, then back, then sort, click favorites, and check the title itself. Or just only check that the list contains of one element. So that is that. And let's go back to our test. So our first screen is mobile list screen. And why I did the chaining, so you can do like this: open first movie in the list, then you appear in a movie screen. So we have our get movie title, assert movies, click on favorite, click back. So we will click favorite, then we want to go back, then we are back to the list again. So we can click on sorting, and after that you can only select favorites. And we are back in our list, and now we can assert movie counts, and it should be one. And just let's run the test itself. It's pretty interesting to watch. You can okay. Here you can see what calls are made and how fast the elements you can get, how fast elements you can get, and so on. And basically that's it. And if you remember two couple commands that I said we needed later, so one of them is to create a report. So Allura Server is for temporary results. Just create one, and we get our result. So here you can see that for setup we have initial driver, initial models, it doesn't matter. And for test body, open first movie in list, blah, 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 going further. And also we have screenshots and videos. I left videos to save videos every single time. It doesn't matter if the test fails or pass. So we can also watch that. And let's write another test for failing one, because you know that there is a bug here. Where is my... And let's just write another one. So let's extend this test. Now we can have a before method. What it does is it is run before every test or every test method, and we can set a description. Say favorite any movie. And we have a workflow class. It's basically what it does. So favorite random movie. If you go there, so it just goes from movie list screen. It opens random movie, clicks favorite, and goes back. That's it. And now our real test. So it's kind of the same. It starts from movie list screen. Now we can sort by favorite. It's another, let's say, method that does two things: click sorting and select favorite. And now we can, let's say we want to check if the movie list is made out of one element. And then click on the first movie. Then click on favorite and then go back. And after that, we want to assert that our movie count is 0. And that's that. Okay, now we can run this test. It's the precondition, and now it's a real test. And let's make another report. So now you can see that test failed. We actually, so yeah, now you can see the setup, favorite any movie. We can check what step it did. And after that, transport itself. And now we can see a video also and a screenshot. And basically that is that. So let's just, oh yeah, and I wanted to show you a little bit about framework itself. So, okay, about capabilities. So there are some useful ones. So auto grant permissions, if it's true, so you don't need to handle every permission that app has. Everything by default is granted. And a really useful one in enforce app install. So if you have, let's say, a newer version and you want to install the older one, so by default it won't happen. But with this one, it will reinstall you the old one. It doesn't matter that the app already exists. And for iOS, it's kind of the same. You have to have platform version, automation name. You can set content hardware keyboard calls if it's true. So when the test runs, the keyboard won't pop up. New VDA can solve you some kind of problems if the Appium runs for a long time. And also if you want to have a real device, so you need to organization ID, signing ID, and phone unique ID as well. Yeah, and basically for capabilities, that's it. Also, you need to have an app path. So yeah, and now it's conveniently in the project. You can see the Appium here. Let's dive into Ultimate driver. So it's an interface. I actually encapsulated all Appium driver, but we also have a kind of property for that. But in this case, if you, let's say, you have find element ID. So for Android, you can say find by ID. That's all good and fine. But for iOS, let's say same find element by ID, it's finds by accessibility ID. Yeah, for recording, it's kind of the same. We have only start recording and stop recording. And pretty easy. And for iOS is the same. And for screenshot, also just take a screenshot. And that's it. For reporting itself, we use Allura. So we have some functions that enables us to add screenshot and video. And also we have a Selenium Grid Manager. It's for basically later, but Appium runs, it's kind of the same as Selenium Grid. If you had an ability to tackle it, so it registers the test the same way, just the port differ, and right now I'm using localhost, so that's that. And we have some utils. So one is for app path, and another one is just a short version, let's say, where your all environment manager, all properties for environment manager is everything just in one place. And basically, yeah, and we have a base test, so it has a before suit, it has before method, just to init drivers, to start recording, after method, stop recording, if failed, if test fails, add screenshot, and quit driver. And for base robot, we only have a driver itself. And that is that. So let's go back to presentation a bit. Yeah, so what to do for iOS? As I mentioned, it's kind of the same. Just you will see accessibility ID. Basically, developers, as far as I know, they don't use this, and its purpose, it's kind of automation also, because for usability you have accessibility label, and that is that, and basically you can write the same test. And lastly, some recommendations and tips. So I talked about accessibility ID and no sign. If you want to increase your test time to make it faster, so you can use deep links. It's kind of the same as browsing in web application using URLs. And also it saves a lot of time if you use deep links for login and logout. Appium also has ability to recognize an image. So if you don't want to use some kind of ugly algorithms to calculate coordinates for, let's say, link in the text, and the link is static, the text is static, so we can have a screenshot for that link and basically use image recognition to find that element. I talked about robot pattern a bit, and also what I should mention, preconditions and postconditions. If it's possible, it should not be implemented by clicking UI, but you could use API instead, or let's say if it's test environment and you have a full access to database and you can drop it easily and take up it again, so you can do that. And lastly, test recordings and proper reports. It depends for whom you're writing the test, but let's say if a manual case reads the reports of POs or whatever, it's mainly not for you, so you can write step definitions human readable, or let's say more understandable, but if it's only for you, so yeah, just do as you like. And any questions?
Thank you, Gintare, for sharing your best practices on how to work with Appium. The first question is from Sergey. Usually apps require permissions to be granted to access certain areas on mobile device. If the app requires this, is it a good practice to test with permission, or it's better to practice, or it's better practice to separate permissions from functionality?
As we did, basically we separated those two things, because all those permissions acts also takes time, and you don't need to test them for every single test, so you can separate them.
Thank you. The next one is from Kazimierz. What could you recommend to run Appium test faster?
To have a proper lab, actually. Because let's say we have around 300 tests, and we run them on 50 mobiles, so it takes us 5 minutes.
Thank you, Gintare. And we just got a question from Dominikas about the lab. Is there something we should have in mind when planning to have a mobile device lab? Is testing on the emulator and on many real devices somehow different?
Yeah, sometimes actually, yeah, sometimes you can spot the issue only on real device, and the same flow on emulator just works fine. So for Android, we use real devices for that purpose. And what you need to have in mind for mobile app, so definitely wires, because running all those tests, the heat is really huge, actually, really high, and we had some wires melting. And if you have, let's say, those wires that can only charge your phone but not transfer data, so it will be a mess. So yeah, everything should be in consideration. Also, what kind of mobiles, if you have a slow ones. So let's say for Samsung Glass S20 and I don't know, LG G5 or whatever. So on one mobile, the same test can run for like 1 minute, and for another one, the slower one, it can run for like 15 minutes. So yeah, everything should be in consideration. Also networking, LAN wires also. Yeah, a lot of stuff. And if you have a huge lab, we have like 15 machines now. So everything is scripted, because you need to take care of 15 different machines and 60 different devices. So everything is scripted.
Thank you, Gintare. One more question from Tom. Can you test more difficult scenarios with Appium, such as upload, download, and read files? Do you have such experience or examples?
For downloading, I think not. But let's say if you need some kind of different or third-party applications, you can also do that. Let's say if you want to test the flow, how to sign in with Facebook or Google, Gmail, so you can do that. If you need to upload some images to the phones, you can also do that. If you need to delete them, you can also do that.
Thanks. And the last one from Marius. What are biggest minuses you faced by using Appium?
It's slow. It's basically slow. It's everything needs to be taken into account. So basically, we have some kind of, let's say, cutting corners, or well, deep links saved us a ton of time actually. Also navigating and checking every element, it can be yeah, time consuming and kind of flaky, I would say, in some ways. Also, sometimes it tells you that Appium couldn't find an element, but you can see in screenshot that it's there. So yeah. But if you need, let's say, to test Android and iOS, and you want to write one test and have one framework, so maybe it is the way to go.